Hey everybody, welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. I'm Dylan, that's Dan, and today we're going to be talking about Legends of Tomorrow Season 6, Episode 3. We're on 3 now. I wrote that down. I got notes this time.
Opposed to most of our shows where it's like episode... What number is it again?
They're all over the place, but this one's pretty consistent, I feel. For some reason, like, a week goes by and I expect there to be more than one episode to happen in that week for some reason, because, like... a lot of time has passed, but really it hasn't.
Well, it's because we go through and we're like, okay, how many shows came out this week? Because there's supposed to be this many, but sometimes this one's on hiatus and then this one's not. Anyway.
So this episode basically was another, alien time travel nonsense. We went to the future this time, which is oft unvisited. I was kind of confused by this because... So the episode kind of starts with Zari and Constantine making out, and
of course
she gets a phone call from the future. Is that how that works? Like, they're not in the future, are they?
So I think it has to do with his house, maybe. I honestly don't know. I was thinking kind of the same thing of like, how is she calling her right now? Is it the phone? Because the phone's technically from the future. Who knows? Who knows? Apparently, if you want to call someone from the future, just get a phone from the future and you can give someone a call.
That's how it works. Who knows? Yeah, ignore like the phone lines and the satellites that don't exist yet. But I don't... Yeah, I'm maybe they explained that away at some point. I'm sure there's some like time chip. They have a time chip. Who cares?
Yeah.
There's like a miniature version of that inside of her phone. But it's definitely interesting because, like, if you want to talk about like ripple effects, if you get a text from someone in the future and you answer it in the past, how does that affect the timeline?
Like, can you go to the past but still remember? Or that? Yeah. No, I never actually thought about it that way. That's an interesting...
This is why time travel sucks.
Yeah, that's why they're making the smart decision of, on these things, no one questions it. Everyone on the team's just like, oh, totally. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's time, whatever. So the whole plot of this episode is revolving around a singing competition on network TV, which of course still exists because it always does in these...
I loved when they say that, when he's like, wow, of all things to exist in the future, network TV was not one I thought would be there. I was like, thank you for saying everything that we're thinking, Nate. You are speaking for us as the audience.
I love him saying that inside of a network television show.
Oh my gosh.
It's good stuff. What did you think about overall, like, the whole kind of, not really plot, but like, as is this show's tradition at this point, just kind of a new wacky scenario that we're thrown into? What'd you think?
I really enjoyed this episode. First off, I loved all the references, the fact that very clearly there's an MCU in this universe. When he goes, man, this is some Thor Ragnarok stuff here, which I enjoyed that. Honestly, I really enjoyed this episode. I feel like this episode was a great one of showing how Legends of Tomorrow can have hunting aliens that are killing people and somehow put a musical TV contest in there and make it kind of work. Like it's one of those ones where it's like, okay, it's goofy how they got there, but at the same time, it's like, no, that alien might actually go, yeah, if this is the tradition here, I will take up your customs so that I can beat you in your own contest kind of thing. Like, I enjoyed that. I liked that it was, that very clearly each of these aliens are spoofs or subtle nods to other aliens and space creatures. This one was very clearly Predator. I mean, that one was just obvious. Last time we got Mothra, we got Zoidbergs up on the ship with Gary and his fiancée. Overall, though, I really enjoyed this episode. It was a fun one. It's very clear that this Constantine-Zari relationship is going to be the relationship for this season, because Legends of Tomorrow, every single season, there's some sort of relationship starting on the ship Now, that being said, I hope this doesn't end up like the other relationships with Constantine or Zari leaving the show, because I really enjoyed both those actors and characters.
Or both of them, like last season.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen, because I really enjoy those characters. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. What'd you think?
I thought it was good. Out of the 3 episodes that we have so far, this was my least favorite.
Okay.
I think mostly because we're like 3 episodes in now, and the actual plot, like what's going on with Sarah and Gary, is kind of it kind of seems like they're a little bit directionless.
Okay.
And this, like, I had the same issues with the last episode, but I enjoyed the setting of the last episode more than I did this one. So
Okay.
I was less like distracted by the fact that it seems like they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
But
That's fair.
hopefully, like, the end of this episode, they show, like, Sarah stumbles into this den that kind of looks like the Wave Rider, and there's some dude there. So maybe they do have a plan. It just doesn't seem like they do right now.
Right. Has that character shown up before?
I don't think so. He like looked kind of familiar, but I don't think we've seen him.
Yeah, I wonder. It'd be funny if he was actually from the Arrow show and was from Sarah Lance's history there.
Oh.
But, that would be interesting. I wouldn't know. I didn't really watch too much of Arrow after the first 2 seasons, but we're not here to talk about Arrow.
I've watched all of Arrow, and I don't remember him from there either. But but again, like, most of that show is forgettable, so it's possible.
I mean, you never know. I think while I completely agree that the Sarah portion of the show does seem a little like, what are you trying to do here? You're not making really anything clear. You have not done anything to make me go, I can invest a little bit into their journey, when at the end of the day, all that they're really doing is she's been bitten by an alien and is infected by something. I have a feeling, though, that probably next episode or the episode after, it's going to be a kind of a role reverse of these current episodes that we have seen. So instead of the majority being the Wave Rider team hunting aliens and then Sarah in the background, I have a feeling it's going to be Sarah and Gary dealing with this other planet. We'll hopefully get some more details on it or something like that. And then the Wave Rider team will be on the back burner, because that just seems like the vibe that they'll go with, or at least I hope that they go with, because they're losing my interest on the Sarah Lance. Like, I don't care that much. Like, it was interesting seeing that all of these creatures were clones of Ava, which makes me wonder if he was from the old Ava planet. But once again, we're not going to go into that. But yeah, that part's kind of forgettable. I just enjoy the humor that comes out of all the other characters. Honestly, Nate, every single episode is confirming that my favorite character so far for this show would be Nate. Like, hands down, the guy's comedic timing and just the way he acts on the show just works so well. So, I mean, I'm curious to see where they're gonna go with future aliens. Like, I'm wondering if they are gonna hit every trope of Space Invaders, like, just. And yes, I did phrase it that way because I'm kind of hoping that there's like a weird Space Invaders reference or something. It would, of all shows to make it work, it would be Legends of Tomorrow, to be like, it's the Wave Rider and it's shooting like Space Invaders as it's going right and left.
Oh my god.
If only. But
that would be nuts.
I just don't know how they're gonna keep up with the aliens. Like, I'm worried that we're going to reach a point where it's either going to go too over the top or too repetitive. I do think it's kind of clever that Rory this time is like, hey, why don't we go for the driver, like the pilot? And like, which I did also find funny, of like, where you don't know if the pilot even got thrown out into the time stream. But
Well, it's a safe assumption if like they saw all of that debris.
Right, I mean, that's fair. But yeah, like I'm glad that Legends of Tomorrow is in our rotation of shows to watch, because
for sure,
it continues to stay at the top of my list of shows that I'm enjoying. So
yeah. I'm worried because it's definitely a show that kind of struggles with plot sometimes, and the concern that I have is just like it really seems like they don't actually have too much of a story in this season, so they're dragging what they do have out for a long time. Because everything that we've seen with the Sarah and Gary stuff could have been summed up in like 20 minutes of one episode. And it's been like we got the majority of it in the first episode and a little bit of it in episode 2 and like barely anything in this one. So, and again, like it's clearly not the point of the show, but if it isn't the point of the show, then get rid of it, you know? Like if you that's the thing with like superhero shows, especially like comedic superhero shows, is you really do have to balance that relationship of like actual dumb comic book plots and since it's a comedy, like, you know, funny antics that these characters can get into. And I think for some reason, like I didn't dislike this episode, but it was definitely lower than the other two just because it's I don't know. I feel like maybe if I hadn't seen the 2 episodes of Black Mirror with a similar plot to this one, then maybe I would have liked this a little more. But I love that, like, that is the thing that we have agreed on, is in the future, we will still have singing competitions, no matter what.
I will say, so when I was so hoping that they were going to relate these 2 shows, but when they mentioned, like, last season they had President Dwayne Johnson come on the show, I immediately jumped on Google and I was seeing if that was the year that the Young Rock takes place, because it's like him reminiscing when he's actually becoming president of the United States. That one's unfortunately in 2030 something. And I was like, that's a shame. That would have been funny if they made a reference to that as well. I will say, hearing you talk about the plot style, though, I feel like this season has really shifted the formula for this show. They went from kind of comedic CW formula, and I feel like now they've moved into the true supernatural formula of there's a small bit of plot going on in the background, but the majority of the episodes are these monster of the week kind of thing. Like it's like, because the majority of the episode is them hunting this creature that showed up in this one spot, but there's the relationship going on in the background. I mean, heck, this is basically the relationship of Dean and the one mother or the one lady in the first portion of the show. But I can see where your complaints are coming from, though. I can definitely see them. Like I said, I'm hopeful, but it is going to be interesting to see where they go forward with this.
Also something this episode made me realize kind of is how far removed from like superheroing we actually are with this show. Because I don't know why, but like every time I see Nate like use his powers and he's not in costume, I like completely I re-remember. It's like, oh right, he has powers. And that made me realize it's like, if you think about it, like most of the characters on this cast, especially now, like they aren't superheroes. They're just kind of people who may or may not have powers.
Majority of them have the weapons. Like we've got the fire gun, we've got the just standard alien gun that Spooner's got. We've got the bracelets that just shoot air. Like, yeah, they definitely have gone away from the superpowers. But personally, I don't mind.
Yeah, like, I'm on the fence with it because it's like, I think something that I do miss is like less so the powers, but the costumes I kind of miss. Which,
yeah, I'll agree.
Which
with
I know
that.
There's not like that. The plot doesn't really demand it right now. because their costumes are just, fitting in costumes, but also like most of these characters don't actually have costumes. Like Nate has one, Rory kind of has one, Sarah has one, Zari had one, but not this version of her.
Right.
Had one, I don't think.
Yeah, the other one's still just chilling inside the totem.
Yep.
As you do.
So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that, because I do kind of miss, it is a superhero show, but it kind of feels like it doesn't want to be anymore.
Right.
Which I don't know how I feel about.
Yeah, no, 100% there. It's a show that has superheroes in it at this point. Mm-hmm. It's not a superhero show. It's just a TV show that does have superheroes. Which
I feel like they might as well just go full tilt into that and just... Because like you said, like I'm worried about that because you brought up Supernatural and like Monster of the Week stuff in general, which like... Yes, this show has kind of been Monster of the Week for a while, but it always has had that backbone of the character interrelations and the actual plot going on. And I feel like that's weak this season. Now that we're 3 episodes in, and I kind of like we kind of know where they're going.
Right.
Like you said, like we have instead of Ray and Nora, we have Zari and Constantine, and that relationship, at least to me, is like not nearly as interesting. It doesn't click for me as much as Ray and Nora did.
Right.
And then the plot, which could be interesting, but we really don't, like, they haven't shown us anything other than like, oh no, Sarah might be dying, and who's this guy? Like, I guess right, like you said, like next episode, hopefully they do that switch and we'll actually get ingrained into the plot. But yeah, those are my concerns.
Very valid concerns, for sure. But, I mean, let's be honest, at the end of the day, this show has been pretty consistent of, even when it gets a little bizarre, they still make an entertaining show. So. Yeah,
I think it's like I had issues with this episode, technical issues I had quite a few with, but they didn't bother me as much just because, it's not like I've said a few times, it's not, the cream of the crop. It's not supposed to be, it doesn't matter. It's just a dumb comedy, which is good. I hate saying that because I know people are going to be like, ugh, how dare you? But I'm saying that as a compliment.
Yeah.
It knows what it is. But yeah, like it's stuff like that, like little minor things like plot contrivances, or, when a character is singing and you can very clearly tell that they're not singing that. It's just, like stuff like that. It's just like, who cares? It doesn't really matter.
Right.
What did you think of the classic trope of big scary robot alien actually happens to be tiny little robot alien?
You mean the Men in Black scene?
Yes, the Men in Black reference.
Honestly, I loved it because of the fact that I instantly went, oh, it's Men in Black. Like, they even made the guy look the same, like, very, very similar. I do like how very, very quickly, like, how they were making it clear, like, oh, man, this could be a new member of the team. This could be a very useful resource, and squash. I was like, oh, my God, that is this show in a nutshell right there, of setting up this big potential thing. Because I was also thinking, I was like, it's going to be really cool seeing them hunt aliens with essentially the Predator. And nope, never mind, he's dead.
I was actually worried about that because they got me good, because I was like, oh no, they're adding another member to the team when they just added another member to the team. This cast is getting bloated, and I was like, ugh, I'm not gonna like this show anymore. And then squashed. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Which I was on board for a little bit. I was like, yeah, this could be interesting. This is not like a boring or uninteresting character in any way. But I was just like, man, like in a sea of, because we've talked about this on The Flash, Benny and I have talked about this on Supergirl, where these shows and their casts are getting so incredibly bloated, that like I'm just like, I do not add anyone else to this team. It's good where it is. It like already characters are being spread thin.
Right.
So like keep it at where it is right now.
Yeah. No, definitely. It was just so perfectly done. Honestly, that entire scene was just so perfectly done to make you like, it was the slowest thing of just like, oh my gosh, presentation. And nope, never mind. Just kidding.
Which also, that little guy looked pretty good.
Yeah.
He didn't look bad in terms of like TV CG. Not a bad creature.
I feel like they put more effort into him so that they would make you think that this was going to be a very crucial character, because you're like, oh my gosh, that's so detailed compared to the other ones that they've done. Oh my god, it's so good though. So good. I loved it.
All right, well, I think that's enough opinions on this episode for today.
Yeah.
I think, it's going to be kind of a rocky road probably, because this is a show where like clearly we don't even know like where it's going. Just because the plot isn't like far reaching, but we'll see. Stay tuned to the channel to get Dan and I's opinions on that. This has been Absolutely Marvel in DC. Check us out next week. See you later.